Okay.
Would like to start the regular session of the Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order and join me in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Swaney, Commissioner Hutchinson, Commissioner Embry,
Here.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Here.
Commissioner Engler, Commissioner Hope.
Here.
All present, Mr. Chairman, except for Commissioner Hutchinson and Commissioner Engler.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start with general public comment. We don't have any presentations or special reports or appointments to boards and commissions. We'll approve and place on file the consent agenda and then committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Finance Administration Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee is all set, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. We have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, nor unfinished business. Several items under new business. The fiscal year 2024, I should say 2025 budget resolution. And then the Public Act 152 resolution, the Emergency Management Performance Grant Work Agreement, and then the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe 2% semi-annual requests. And then we'll have general public comment again and announcements. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda? So moved.
Jones,
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Brings us to general public comments. Is there anyone for general public comment? Okay, seeing no one for general public comment, we'll move right down to consent agenda. And Commissioner Embry, would you present that for us, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Motion reads, move to approve and place on file the September 3rd, 2024 work session meeting minutes, the September 3rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes, the September 10th, 2024 Finance and Administration Committee meeting minutes, the September 10th, 2024 Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee meeting minutes, and the September 10th, 2024 Human Resources and Public Works Committee meeting minutes.
support.
Been moved and supported to approve and place on file the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Brings us to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item of business is the August 30th, 2024 invoice list, the September 6th, 2024 invoice list, and the September 12th, 2024 adjustment list. Motion reads, move to ratify and place on file the August 30th, 2024 invoice list in the amount of $166,854.34. The September 6th, 2024 invoice list in the amount of $1,410,368.31. And the adjustment list dated September 12th, 2024.
Support.
Been moved and supported to ratify and place on file the August 30th, 2024 invoice list, the September 6th, 2024 invoice list, and the September 12th, 2024 adjustment list. Discussion.
So there's been many layers of review on the vendor and requested payments on each one of the invoice lists. We did do a little bit more of a thorough review in the work session. There were no questions asked about any of them, either the larger $5,000 plus bills or any of the smaller bills found in the body of each of those documents. Don't know if there's any questions that came up since the work session or concerns about any of the payments.
Hearing no questions or comments.
We do have the adjustment list, which some changes that will modify those two previous lists that we've just briefly talked about, and that is changes in dollar amounts that usually are result in a discount because we're paying early, or saving a penalty because if we'd wait, we'd be paying late. And all of them fall in that particular category. So are there any questions on the adjustment list?
Hearing no further, anything further on that?
Anyone?
Okay. Hearing no further discussion on that item, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Second item for the Finance and Administration Committee is the volunteer agreement with Miklos Ferber. Motion reads, move to approve the volunteer agreement between Miklos Ferber and Isabella County to set the parameters of his involvement in aspects of the renovation of the Isabella County Administration Building and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the volunteer agreement with Miklos Ferber. Discussion.
We do have Mr. And allow Mr. Ferber to speak on his behalf if he'd like.
Absolutely.
Well, I just thought I'm here to see if you have any questions for me. I'm already involved with the administration building, working with Nicole and Jerry and Chris. And as of today, we get a tentative master schedule that I already made some comments on. I sent it to Mr. Hope and Mr. Embry and Mr. Jolsinski, in addition to Nicole. And I'd be happy to assist the county in this endeavor. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
I'm just gonna say that really appreciate Mr. Ferber stepping up. You know, we're gonna have a contract with the architect and with a project manager, but we need to have a good representative directly from the county that has nothing to gain and some of the decisions can be made. And with the fact that we'll be in a transition with a new county administrator by the time this project is a go, it's just great that he stepped forward and was willing to fill that role.
Again, thank you for Mr. Ferber for volunteering. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other discussion on that? And hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank
Then
you for the confidence.
thank you. Next item of business, work directive change orders number 1 and 2 with Spicer Group. Motion reads, move to approve the work directive change orders number one and 2 with Spicer Group in the net additional amount of $73,500 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the work directive change orders number 1 and 2 with Spicer Group. Discussion.
So we have a contract with Spicer Group to help us through the planning process, look at our options, and there's a lot of work involved with it in terms of knowing what we have, what needs to be done, working with our staff to determine correct occupancy opportunities. Why the 1 and 2 change order comes about. One is because when the project was put out on bid, the contract put on bid, it didn't cite the correct square footage for that building. And usually those contracts are based on a square foot basis. So this will correct that. We had underestimated the square footage. And the second thing is we did ask Spicer Group. We've had requests from department heads, county elected officials especially, to have some kind of storage that will adequately protect historical documents. Right now, the documents, when they were in the building, were just put on racks. There was no fire protection. And there's been cases where county buildings have burnt down and all these records are destroyed. And I know we're moving to more of a electronic system now for documenting those records, but still, it's important to keep those long historical records that can go back 100 or more years. So we thought the best place to do that, rather than taking a valuable space in an office building, would be to utilize potentially the current correctional facility. Now, there's probably sections of that building cannot be put to use because it's an older section, and we'll find out. But there is a section that is on the west end, and it was one of the more recent additions, and it runs pretty much the length of our administration building. So the thought was we could go ahead and put adequate storage over there. It'll probably be a water-based sprinkler system that will protect those records, and we'll probably need to have containers so that if there's ever accidental discharge, the records don't get wet. But it seems like it makes more sense to put it over there. There's a 2-hour fire break wall that separates the new edition from the older edition. And I think also we're looking at having adequate space for our maintenance effort instead of having them in a couple of closets in our what would have been the old administration building. So they're going to be working with that and planning that out, and we'll be getting those results. And I think Spicer Group will soon be meeting with elected officials and department heads, sharing the space allocation that we've kind of come up with.
Very good. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Madam Clerk.
The fourth item for the Finance and Administration Committee is the prime contract change order number 26. Motion reads, move to approve the prime contract change order number 26 with Clark Construction in the net additional amount of $35,011 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
Reported to approve the prime contract change order number 26. Discussion.
Senior Project Manager Kendall was with us at our work session, and she described the changes that net the $35,011. This was per sheriff's request in order to create greater functionality for the master control and the pod control room monitoring systems. So you have the changes that were made through Pauley Jail, and then you have Master Electric, which will be handling the electrical portion of that, and that's what totaled to $35,000. As a point of reference, we are at, again, 89% complete. We are still utilizing our buyout, have not touched our contingency, and the buyout dollar amount along with the contingency dollar amount is still 37% or better.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Yes,
5 ayes, 5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Madam Clerk.
Next item, move to approve fiscal year 2024 budget amendment 2024-08, fourth quarter budget adjustments for general fund, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve fiscal year 2024 budget amendment number 2024-08. Discussion.
Well, when we adopt a budget, it is a fiscal plan that we work to accomplish. However, things can come up, spending can increase, we might get new revenues. And so the state does require that as we move through the fiscal year, that when those changes occur, the board needs to take action to approve those changes. Madam Administrator, would you like to take over from there?
Absolutely. I can talk about, I can Why don't I just talk about the things that don't net out? I know I spent a lot of time at the earlier meeting, talk about each individual one, but we kind of talked past those that net out. Anyway, so really the total of the budget amendment is $1,000. And that goes to cover $7,000 of wages, dues and subscription for the Board of Commissioners. Rest assured, it's built into fiscal 25, it's just missed it in the current budget and realized it through their numbers. So building in 7,000 for dues and subscriptions, buildings in 10,000 for postage. I do think I missed that at the it's $10,000 to our postage expense. This is essentially general fund wide, not to any specific department. There's an increase of 25,000. Mic on. 25,000 for the appellate defender for our managed assigned counsel. This is for outside counsel that handles abuse, neglect, and juvenile cases. There's an increase of $60,000 for the county building closure expenses. So this will be namely for the increase in the Spicer contract that we've just talked about. And any continuing rents in the current fiscal year. There's also an increase of $10,000 for remonumentation expenses. We will see that back, but not for a few years. And then an increase of $3,000, which is a flat out transfer out to our law library for law books. Like me to talk about everything else kind of nets zero, meaning it's got its own offsetting revenue that it's bringing in for the increase in expenditure.
The other thing I'd like to point out, the $7,000 for dues and subscriptions, Board of Commissioners. I believe most of that is our annual membership in the Michigan Association of Counties. Counties, we don't have the resources to advocate to the legislature on things that are going to impact county operations. And so counties have banded together and we have a nonprofit organization that represents all the counties and the best interests of the counties to the legislature. And so it's a very decent amount of a good expenditure to have that representation.
That increase in state revenue sharing likely wouldn't have been possible even without Michigan Association of Counties lobbying for that increase.
Also, the 4-year term for county commissioners wouldn't have happened without the NACO and Matt lobbying, and pushing and convincing some people to do it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk.
Our final item for the Finance and Administration Committee is the fiscal year 2024 budget amendment number 2024-09. Motion reads, move to approve fiscal year 2024 budget amendment number 2024-09, fourth quarter adjustment for other funds, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the fiscal year 2024 budget amendment number 2024-09. Discussion.
As the motion reads, it is adjustments for our other funds. And this one, there's just the $3,000 for the law library for books. Getting the accounting correct for that. We have our tribal 2% funding, which we have a fund that we bring the money into and then disperse it out there. In this case, it would be for new equipment in AEDs and educational funding for our central dispatch. We also have a delinquent tax revolving fund balance usage for contractual services. And this is for archiving tax delinquent rolls.
Very good. Any other discussion? On that, hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
And that,
That completes the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us to Criminal
Wonderful.
Justice and County Affairs Committee.
All right, first up, milestone 7, payment for a radio tower project. Motion move to approve the payment of milestone 7 in the amount of $879,493.60 for the radio tower project.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve milestone 7 payment for radio tower project. Discussion.
So Sheriff Maine talked in the work session, and this milestone 7 payment is a little bit higher than the previous payments, but we do have the cash flow for it, and the turnaround from the state for payment back is immediate, so no worries there. The project is close to completion. We just have to get some equipment seen by the company that makes it for replacement, and then able to do some testing and move forward. We look forward to that finish of that project.
Very good. Any further discussion? Tower project? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
All right, on-call stipends for prosecuting attorneys. Motion reads, move to approve the renewal of on-call stipends for prosecuting attorneys at a pay rate of $550 per week and $200 per county holiday for fiscal year 2025.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the on-call stipends for prosecuting attorneys. Discussion.
And so our prosecuting attorneys are on call by the courts and the sheriff's department. So when they're needed to be brought in on the weekend or after hours, we have installed this payment plan in 2024 of the $550 per week and $200 per county holiday. At that time, we just had it set for 1 year. And this is just simply a renewal of that in their wages and benefits. And in 1 year, we'll look at this again after we've gone through wage study and everything.
Very good. Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to, actually, soon to be finance director. This is included in the 2025 budget proposal, correct? This, $200 per county holiday and the $550 per week.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
All right. We don't yet have a motion here, but item number 3 is a discussion regarding HAT's proposal for animal shelter services funding for fiscal year 25. For this discussion, I'd like to make a motion that gives the board of the animal treatments, the HATs, the backing, looking to fund them at $155,000 for the year. I believe that it's prudent of us to make sure that HATS is continuing. I know that all of my constituents, a majority of my constituents, believe in HATS and back HATS, and HATS has come forward saying that the funding of $100,000 would not make it viable for them to continue, and that they would have to move the the project or that running of the shelter, right? Running of the shelter would have to move to the county. And as we've seen, the budget for Claire is 517,000 for a shelter that takes in about the same number of cats and dogs and animals that our shelter does. We currently spend almost $300,000. $175,000 of that is going to happen. That's a $220,000 difference. I don't imagine that we're going to be probably spending $220,000 if we get into it, because we won't have that money to spend, but we'll be facing a very difficult time, and will likely spend more than this $55,000 to get there. And to build a structure and community service that HATS has would be near impossible and take many years. Anyone else like to add to the discussion?
Do you want to make your motion and then
And we
we'll-
can have further discussion?
Yeah.
Sure. Move to approve funding for the human,
It's my writing, it's my handwriting. I guarantee you.
that does not look like humane, sorry. Move to approve funding for the Humane Animal Treatment Society HATS contract in the annual amount of $155,000 effective October 1st, 2024.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve, and I don't have that in front of me, but the HATS contract renewal in the amount of $155,000. Discussion. Yes, sir.
I'm going to vote yes on this, but I do want to see that additional 55,000 coming out of COVID-19 funds rather than impacting the contingency funds that we have in the budget. I mean, we've worked very hard to come up with a zero-based budget. And I know this is one of the areas we looked at reducing, but we've reduced a lot of areas. And I think we do have some obligation, hopefully, to come up with some of those contingency dollars to provide a COLA and maybe start some kind of implementation. But as long as we can take it out of the COVID-19 funds, when that comes about in terms of budget amendment, I will support it. Otherwise, I guess I'm supporting it tonight and I'll not support the amendment.
Any other discussion? I'll just add that I think it would be a disaster to not approve this. And for HATS has told us that they can't do it on what we initially offered. And for them to walk away, we've had a relationship with them since 1999. And I think it would be a disaster to walk away from that. And I think Mr. Barbary talked about being penny wise and pound foolish. Perfect example of what that would be. So that's my my 2 cents worth. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
No.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
4 ayes, 1 nay. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Chairperson Hope, that ends the business of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Department.
That brings us to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first and only item is agreement between Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program and the Isabella County Commission on Aging. The motion reads, move to approve the Medicare Improvement for Patients and Providers Act, MIPA, Beneficiary Outreach and Assistance Program of service agreement between Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program and the Isabella County Commission on Aging, effective September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025, and authorize the board chair to sign this same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the agreement between the Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program and the Isabella County Commission on Aging. Discussion.
Yes, Jennifer Crawford, the Director of Commission on Aging, was here earlier today to explain this to us. It's a very valuable service that the Commission on Aging does, and there's money coming from the state to help us do it. And it's $200 for every LIS enrollment application. That means low income subsidy. And also $225 for every Michigan savings program, Medicare savings program. And then in addition, there's $200 for a Medicare preventive wellness benefits presentation. Like was discussed, many people, our constituents, especially older folks approaching the age of Medicare, need a lot of help with the myriad confusing stuff that they have to deal with. And it really helps out to have somebody that's an expert like Jennifer, and all these ins and outs. And it does save people who do this a lot of money. And the deliverables on this, in 2024, the Commission on Aging processed 14 applications and provided 6 Medicare presentations for a total reimbursement of $3,650. Any questions or comments?
Okay.
Seeing and hearing none.
Hearing nothing further, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
That completes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. We have no intergovernmental affairs or administrator controller issues or unfinished business. Brings us down to new business. Item A, and Vice Chairman Jelizinski, would you present that for us, please?
Yes. Move to approve the Isabella County Fiscal Year 2025 Budget Resolution and General Appropriations Act Resolution Number 2024-14 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the Isabella County Fiscal Year 2025 Budget Resolution and General Appropriations Act Resolution Number 2024-14. Discussion.
So there's been a lot of effort put into the fiscal year 2025 budget. We know that after the millage was so badly defeated, seeking the 2.5, we had no choice but to reduce the services, reduce the budget so that we could balance. I mean, for years and years, we have subsidized from our savings the budget because the revenues that were coming in were insufficient to cover the expenditures, and we couldn't continue to do that. It was not sustainable. So we had department heads, elected officials, everybody really pitched in and did a fantastic job in a cooperative manner, and we came up with a balanced budget. With that said, this budget does not include anything for a cost of living for employees, and we know outside of our financial stresses, the other thing we have is stress dealing with retaining qualified employees and attracting replacements when those qualified employees leave. The other thing it doesn't do is provide any funds for implementation of a wage study. And I know that there are individuals out there that have voiced that opportunities to move on. They're just waiting to see what the county board's going to do. It's a challenge for us. And then finally, this is something that is probably going to be with us for a while. But, you know, we have come up with a balanced budget. I've been on the board 10 years and it's the first year that we haven't had the dip into any kind of savings and looking forward to continue the process in the future.
Very good. Any other discussion on that? And you covered that so well. I don't know what to add to that. So, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And item B, Commissioner Embry, would you do item B for us?
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, resolution number 2025, Bill 2024-15. Correct. Very good. All right, motion reads, move to consider approving resolution number 2024-15 to comply with the requirements of Public Act 152 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve resolution number 2024-15. Discussion.
And Mr. Chairman, you were kind enough to kind of explain this 80-20 rule. Not pay more than 80% of the benefits. In my understanding is that we've opted out of that through this resolution. Allows us to handle our own insurance as we see fit. And I think we've done an outstanding job over the last couple of years with our insurance committee and moving forward with trying to maintain benefits for our employees without increasing costs. So I'm definitely in support of this resolution.
Any other discussion on this resolution? Hearing none?
just-
Oh, yep.
I just think that myself personally, I'm going to work on trying to get this repealed. When it first came out, it was cruel and unexpected and very challenging to meet. So that's what I'm going to do.
Would it be helpful, Mr. Chairman? We talk about 80-20. I just want to talk about where we're at right now, right? And then we do talk about it in the budget letter. Of course, our free plan, of course, is $0 cost share to employees, right? So in the 80-20, we wouldn't have a free plan. Everyone would pay 20%. So free plan is 0% employee cost share. Our middle of the road plan B is a 5%. Counties pay, or employees pay 5% of the cost. In our plan A, our best plan, employees pay about 11%. And that's sized so that they make that choice and that cost share is based on the benefit they receive. So I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on that? And hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Yes.
0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Commissioner Swaney, would you mind doing item C for us?
I appreciate being picked for C instead of D. The Emergency Management Performance Grant Work Agreement and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the Emergency Management Performance Grant Work Agreement. Discussion.
Sorry, this was presented by, and this is why I stepped at our new, coming new directors, Chad
Guinness,
Chad Guinness, thank you.
not Guinness, sir. Guinness. I'm not sure what's on your mind.
How we're gonna go next, but yeah.
He's got beer on his mind.
I presented this to this, in years past, Marcus Griffiths has presented this to us. We've seen this, for many years. And basically, by filling out a lot of paperwork, we get some funding back to pay for the person filling out all that paperwork.
Yep. Any other discussion on that? And hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item D, I've asked Vice Chairman Jelazinski to take item D for us.
It's not so hard when you get the cliff notes from the chair. Item D, move to approve the prioritization of Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan Fall 2024 semi-annual 2% requests.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the prioritization of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe Michigan Fall 2024 semi-annual 2% requests discussion.
Would you like to know what those prioritizations came back at? Okay. So what we do, remember, if it's a critical project, the commissioner scored a 1. If it's a high priority project, it gets a 2, medium is 3, and low is 4. So this is really, really simple. In between the meetings, the commissioners get scoring sheets, okay? I total up the scores and divide it by 5 because there's 5 of you to get an average, right? So in this scenario, you could get a score of 7 before you go to a high ranking. Score of 7 still gets the critical ranking. We all understand that math? They all got 1s. After my long math instruction, they all came out to be 1. And I wanted everyone at the table here to understand why that might be so. And of course, everyone in the audience as well. So they all scored 1. They all scored critical this time, all 6 applications, sir.
I'd just like to add that the tribe, I don't know how many of these requests they get from area governments, schools,
400, like
hundreds.
hundreds. Yeah.
And they can't approve them all. It's a very difficult job for the tribal council to go through, but they've been very generous. Especially keen on our Commission on Aging, taking care of seniors. It's very important to them. And anything that might have an environmental impact. They've been a huge supporter of our materials recovery facility, a huge supporter of the material household hazardous waste cleanups, things like that, our parks, and our sheriff's office and all of the stuff that we do, but special focus on seniors and environmental items. Sure. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Embry,
Yes. Commissioner
Jelazinski,
Yes.
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 5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam.
Clerk, and up next would be general public comments. Or anyone for general public comment?
I do this just so that you can't say you never get public comments.
Appreciate it.
I'll try to get it into 3 minutes. Number one, I rip on you guys a fair amount. I wanted to thank you for something that I think you've done very well, which is not dipping into that fund balance. I think Jelazinski and Embry and several, I mean, all of you have held true to that, and it would be very easy to say, oh, let's just dip into that. So thank you. I appreciate that. Second thing on hats, a thank you to all of you for considering that and looking at it. I really don't have a thing to pick against hats. I think it's maybe the thing in my head is, you know, we can go and we can cut 100% of the road patrol, but we can't cut the animal shelter. So maybe that's why it sticks on me. But I appreciate you guys trying to cut it. And I wanted to kind of mention something to you, again, as a business person and as a salesperson, you always try to look for the missing data. So they talked about their expenses about $550,000. But one thing they didn't talk about is their income. They looked at it as, you know, we're only paying 175,000. So we leave thinking, man, they're really taking it in the chin because of this. But they do make money in other areas. I think they listed doing 620 adoptions. I know I can't ask you a question, so I'm going to rhetorically ask it. What does it cost to adopt a dog from the shelter? What does it cost to adopt a puppy from the shelter? what does it cost to adopt a kitten? Cost for a dog is $180. Cost for a puppy is $200. Cost for a kitten is $90. If you average that out, and I think this is low at $150 an animal, I think it's probably more puppies and dogs than the $90 kitten, but let's average it out there at 620 adoptions, that's $93,000 just there of income that's to them that we don't, I guess we may get a few bucks on the license or something like that, but the bulk of that goes back to them. Spay neuter, they didn't really list that in there. They listed how many of the adopted they spay neutered, and they did spay neuter all the 620. We try to get spay neuters, they're usually out 30 to 60 days. How much that is, but again, rhetorical question. How much does it cost to spay neuter a cat there? How much does it cost to spay neuter a dog? About a large dog over 70 pounds. So the cat is $80. The dog is $140. The large dog is $200. I wish I could ask this again. I think they said they had done 20,000. I don't remember. It was not in writing. Let's say they just spayed neutered additionally the number that they had not adopted out. So like when we bring animals to spay neuter, if they did 620 of them at an average cost of 110, that's $70,000. If they did 20,000, which I thought I heard, and I sure don't want to get a family of lawyers after me, so don't quote me on that, but that would be $2.2 million. So if that was over the course of 4 years, then that's, roughly $500,000 a year. Then there's also impound and release fees. I don't think that Hats is making money hands over fist, right? They're not going to become Elon Musk from their Hats things, but I don't think they're also hurting that bad. So my, again, request, I hope that we would compete it. I hope that we would talk to the other counties and find out what they're really finding. Maybe we could work with them. And then that's something else I think that we've not done yet is really said, what services do we really need to provide? We kind of always stop at, well, we have to have an animal shelter. Well, do we have to have an animal shelter that takes cats? Do we have to have an animal shelter that does adoptions? Do we have to have what are the services that we really have to provide? Because I think we've just quickly run to the 175. We could never do it for 175. Hats said they're really taking it. Let's just do it. And we haven't actually gone and looked at what we really are required by law to provide. So that'd be another request there. 2 other things. I promise I'll go quick. I wanted to bring this up. I talked to Finance Director Pending or Finance Director Franquist, and just in case she gets any pushback from you guys, I wanted to put it on the record here. So the budget, I think that we budgeted for the Sheriff's Department in 2025 was about 2 million. And then there's the $3.7 million millage. I think a couple times ago, I mentioned that, the optics on that were really bad of how is it costing us $5.7 million for the Sheriff's Department, 2 million for the general budget, and then 3.7 for the new millage equals 5.7. And afterwards, I was educated a little bit, and I think that there's some necessary double budgeting of things in there. So I think roughly 500,000 or 600,000, others will know much better than I do, of retirement benefits have to be paid whether the millage is there or not. So let's say, for example, the millage does not go through, we still have to pay $500,000 or $600,000 in retirement benefits. So that's built into our operating budget, but that's also built into the millage. So if the millage goes through, then all of a sudden there's an excess 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. I'm not sure exactly what it is in the operating budget. And my point to you guys is the optics on that could be very bad, right? We've gone and we've said we've cut everything to the bone. The Sheriff's Department's got the 3.7 millage, but $3.7 million millage, which is not oversaying. Then the millage goes through, and the next board meeting we say, we found an extra $600,000 from the sheriff that we can reprovision for COLA or some other thing. That's not going to look good. So my suggestion is that we take whatever that double counting is out of the 2025 sheriff's budget and put it in a contingency budget that's at the actual operating budget level, so that, people are going to look at that and say, well, why do you have $1 million in contingency? Well, if the millage doesn't go through, 600 of that's going to have to pay for theirs. Okay, that makes sense. But then if the millage does go through, there's going to be less pushback of people saying, oh, there's $600 in the contingency that we could potentially use for some other purpose. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sure Ms. Franquist will explain it much better than I did. Last thing, I've not looked into this too much, but I do talk with a fair number of people employed by the city and the college or other things. And one thing that I've heard kind of tongue in cheek is that the health insurance in the county is phenomenal. So in fact, city employees talking about how they may try to, as they get to the end, go and get a job with the county. I think we just need to be aware of that. Maybe that is the carrot that we try to use to keep our employees. I don't know, but I'm not at all employed by any of them, so I don't know anything about it. But what I hear is that, the premiums continue to go up for the city. They really go up for the college. And for the county, it's like this oasis of, wow, that's a really great deal. So if it is a really great deal, we may need to leverage that more. And that maybe that's why we don't necessarily pay whatever. And if it's really a great deal that we're not actually knowing is a great deal, then maybe it should be made more in line with others like the city, like the college, like other employers there. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for general public comment?
I'd like, oh, sorry.
You want to wait for
I-
announcements?
Yes,
Okay, announcements. Commissioner Swaney, do you have an announcement?
I would just like to say that obviously wages and benefits you look at as a total compensation together. And if you look at our employees' total compensation, including wages and benefits, we are far below majority of their counterparts in many, many areas. I have had insurance through Central Michigan University, and I do know that it was a much easier system to work with, and I've paid far less out of pocket. And that there's a lot more wrangling and going through talking to the health, what the company that oversees our
44 North or
44 North, talking to them constantly to get approval of things that they initially deny. So while our health benefits may be good, we're still paying a significant portion for them. And we're going through a lot more hassle to maintain it as an individual. That's just a general statement I'd like to make, that I understand what, or I feel I understand what a lot of our employees have to go through.
And I know Madam Administrator and soon to be Finance Director Franquist, we've been meeting quite often with Amy Sell regarding our wage study. And we have had conversations about our overall compensation package. And I had initially asked to see where we fit with their surrounding competitors, if you will. And in my understanding of those conversations is that our overall benefits package is less than. Our insurance package and benefits, very good. Salaries, on the other hand, are lower than our competitors. So in general, we don't offer as good a package, if you will. And that's because we've always thought that's a recruiting and retention issue that we definitely need to address sooner than later.
We good? Any other announcements? Yep.
Might as well hop on that conversation if you don't mind. A good conversation, and that it's actually the wage study with Amy Sell that's led to now we've got in place to put out at probably the beginning of the year, probably not at the end, I would assume in January, they'll go out to employees a total comp letter, right? That reminds the employee about the value of the benefit, that all of the benefits that they're getting, in addition to their wage, all the benefits. Improving.
Any other announcements? I'll just add to that discussion that I think you do have to look at the total compensation package. Totally agree with what these two commissioners are saying. You have to look at the wage. You can't look at just the health care benefits by themselves. We do have a very good healthcare package. I think also that the city and probably some other employers still offer a traditional pension. So how do you compare that to not having a pension? These are tough comparisons to make, is all I guess I would say. On that, the other thing I was gonna mention earlier and did not is that the Council of Governments meets right here tomorrow night at 7 PM. Other announcements? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
And moved and supported, and we are adjourned at 8:19.